Hello, I'm Nelson Bird. This is Indigenous Circle, and I'm coming to you from Saskatoon's Western Development Museum. Every now and then, we like to take our show on the road and show you places you may not have experienced. This museum is literally a walk back in time, and you'll learn much more throughout the show. But coming up after the break, we'll have the latest from First Nations and Metis across the province, and it's all coming to you from somewhere inside the Saskatoon Western Development Museum. December 1st was World AIDS Day. In the past few decades, the deadly disease has claimed the lives of millions of people worldwide, and it is having devastating effects on Aboriginal communities here at home. Raquel Fletcher has more on what the province is doing to battle HIV/AIDS.
It's the worst rate of infection in the country. Almost 1,000 people are living with HIV/AIDS in Saskatchewan. Per capita, that's more than double the national average. And the situation is getting worse.
In 2009, we saw an additional 200 cases diagnosed, and that's very concerning for us.
That's a 15% increase since last year, promoting the government to roll out a new multi-million-dollar strategy to deal with the growing problem.
We have a 4-year strategy. Our end goals are to reduce the number of positive cases.
There's another concerning statistic. 70% of the new cases of people diagnosed with HIV/AIDS last year were Aboriginal.
A lot of people think it's a southern disease, it's a white disease, or it's a gay man's disease, when actually it's an Aboriginal problem. And we need to stand up and accept that and talk about it, rather than pretending it's not there, because silence equals death.
That's something Stratton knows personally. Since being diagnosed with HIV in 1990, he's become an advocate and spokesperson for Aboriginal people living with AIDS.
Our social determinants of health in the Aboriginal communities are lower than in the rest of Turtle Island. And so that leads to our vulnerability to HIV/AIDS.
Stratton says he is part of the solution. He is bringing awareness to Aboriginal communities in hopes of preventing others from having to live with the disease.
Residents of a northeastern community are fighting back. They're tired of gang violence. Despite the best efforts of the RCMP, gangs, drugs, and other serious problems plague Pelican Narrows. And as John Baglieri tells us, band members have come up with a unique way to police the problem.
In Pelican Narrows, gang symbols are branded on houses, schools, and even places of worship. But paint isn't the only mark left by these gangs. Residents say recently a woman was stabbed 10 times in a gangland assault by 16-year-old girls. The violence has community members frightened to come out of their homes.
A lot of people are concerned because a lot of the violence is happening outside their houses. They can see it, at night.
Elders here are fed up with all the violence.
The elderly people saying that they want peacekeepers.
They want to create a community police force made up of band members.
Peacekeepers have worked, they've been very effective in other First Nation communities. And what's happened in other communities is the peacekeepers work with the police. They work well together.
There is an RCMP detachment in Pelican Narrows, but elders say the officers are seen as outsiders. An important mandate of the peacekeepers will be to act as a bridge between the community and the police.
The trust relationship with the police is in question, and these peacekeepers would be able to kind of bring together the police, the community, and the peacekeepers.
Band members are putting together a proposal for the peacekeepers. Organizers say it will take a big commitment from the entire community.
In order for them to be successful in developing a safe community, the first thing they have to do is take ownership of the problem, and they have to work together.
Next week, Pelican Narrows will be holding public meetings to hash out an action plan. It's a first step in washing away the gang violence that has tarnished this community for so long. For Indigenous Circle, I'm John Baglieri in Pelican Narrows.
The first methadone clinic on a Saskatchewan reserve opened on the Atakakoop First Nation. Band members will now be able to pick up their prescribed medicine and receive counseling on the reserve. A doctor will also travel to the First Nation once a month to write prescriptions. There are currently 35 Atakakoop members requiring methadone for their addictions. Previously, they had to travel 90 kilometers to Prince Albert to receive treatment. Methadone is one of the last options for opiate drug users struggling to stop using drugs such as heroin and morphine. A First Nations group based in Manitoba is working on a new tool to keep Indigenous languages alive. The computer software was highlighted at the Language Keepers Conference in Saskatoon. Mark Rockstad has the details.
13-year-old Raven Whitehawk from the Gordon First Nation is trying out a new computer program to help her learn Cree.
So you can pass it on to your children and stuff, and learn to talk to your elders and everything in Cree. Keep our culture, keep it going in our system for the future and all that.
It's called Bikey, or Before You Know It, and has been developed with the help of an American company. The inexpensive $50 software allows students to see, hear, and speak words in Dakota, Cree, and Anishinaabe or Ojibwe. Arlene McKay speaks Dakota and helped launch the Dakota language program already at use in some Manitoba schools. She says it's such a useful learning tool.
Because you can see the word, you can hear the word. So you see it, you hear it, and then you'll say it. So I think the students will pick up on the software pretty quick.
The man who's also been working on the project echoes those sentiments, allowing children and adults to learn at their own pace.
It's a positive experience. There's no one laughing at them. It's just them and the computer. They have the headphones and the mic. It's just them and the native speaker on the program, and it's software. And the test runs we've had have been overwhelmingly positive.
It's hoped the Cree and Anishinaabe language programs will be ready for school use in the coming months.
The University of Saskatchewan and Dutch researchers are partnering to develop new environmental technologies. The agreement will also give First Nation students a chance to learn about the world in a traditional manner. Once again, here's Mark Rogstad.
It's a dance to renew old friendships and to find new ones, much like what's happening between the University of Saskatchewan and a Dutch research institute called Incus 3.
What we can offer is brain power, young minds who are motivated, and we have no shortage of them in the province.
The U of S and Incus 3 signed a memorandum of understanding to keep developing technology such as water and air quality monitoring systems to be used in the north.
They would like to get the sensitivity in case there is a problem, like for example mining. In case that there is, for example, a problem with the fish, that they have the capabilities to really come after what the problem is.
The researchers and university have also been working hand in hand with First Nations educators. They want students from 4 Battlefords area reserves to become more interested in science, but in a cultural way.
Our students are able to combine the traditional knowledge of Mother Earth with the scientific technology of today.
Dutch businesses and its people are the 3rd largest investors in Canada. So the Kingdom's ambassador to Ottawa says Saskatchewan is a perfect place to continue growing opportunities.
So we're very happy to work with the province of Saskatchewan, which I think has a lot going for it, has a lot to offer. And coming from the Netherlands, we are very eager to develop that relationship and take it to the next level.
And all involved hope that's a path they will walk together.
Our visit to the Saskatoon Western Development Museum continues, and we'll learn much more about what goes on here right after these messages. And welcome back. We're coming to you from the Western Development Museum in Saskatoon. There's so much to see and learn here, and I figured one of the best ways to experience it besides being here is have the staff explain it to us. Tom Wazer is the manager of the Western Development Museum and is going to talk to us about Boomtown, which is behind us. Joan Champ is the coordinator of the Prairie Gamble exhibit, and we'll learn more about that in a couple minutes. And Josh Hurry will tell us about the Western Development Museum Network. So first of all, Tom, all three of you, welcome to Indigenous Circle.
Thank you.
Tom, what is Boomtown?
Boomtown's a typical representation of a town found in the prairies around 1910. Right now we're sitting at the railway station, which was the important part of the town where immigrants would arrive into town. And we have about 30 buildings that represent typical buildings that you would have found in the town. Notably a blacksmith shop, a general store, a livery stable, various buildings like that that help to build the town.
So it's like walking back in time.
Exactly, yeah. As people come through the front door, we always hear this awe from the people because they've never seen anything like they see when they come on to 1910 Boomtown.
And programming, and there's more than just people coming to visit the museum to look at things. There's other things going on, I understand.
We have a large variety of volunteers that help man these buildings at special events. Like we do have blacksmiths that go in the blacksmith shop and actually demonstrating blacksmith to our visitors.
Oh, great.
We have people who give wagons or sleigh rides outside our building to the general public coming through as well.
Excellent. And it's open, is it open all year round?
We're open yearly, close Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Boxing Day. And in January, we actually close on Mondays through March, through January through March. So.
Okay, Joan, Prairie Gamble exhibit. You know, the word gamble and prairie in the same sentence. What does that mean?
Well, Nelson, winning the Prairie Gamble is the story of agriculture in Saskatchewan over the past 100 years. It was actually a centennial project for the museum in the 100th anniversary of the province. And it's a 21,000 square foot permanent exhibit. And it follows a fictional farm family from the time they arrive at the train station in Saskatchewan in 1905 right up to present day. And as I say, it's a story of agriculture, so we've done our best to tell the story of all people in Saskatchewan, including First Nations people.
So this would, like, people coming into Saskatchewan back in the early 1900s and 1800s would experience all these different things, like First Nations. Tell us a little bit about that exhibit.
Well, we start with the signing of the treaties and the opening of the West. And then we have in the area where our farm family is living in a sod house, right next to that we have a diorama of a First Nations reserve where they're transitioning from the pre-treaty way of life to agriculture. And so in that diorama you see an elderly First Nations woman hanging fish on a drying rack, and as well in the background there's a threshing crew, so they're beginning to farm and pursue agriculture.
It's very educational, isn't it, just to be here?
I believe so. I hope people will learn a lot by seeing our exhibit. You see it as an experience rather than there are a lot of signs to read, but you don't necessarily have to read the signs, but you can learn a lot from reading them, including the obstacles that First Nations people faced after the treaties were signed and trying to engage in agriculture in a successful way.
Is it a fairly new concept, having the Aboriginal aspect to the museum?
Yes, it is. This is probably the first major exhibit that we've had here at the Western Development Museum that is inclusive of the stories of First Nations people.
Okay. And the network itself, now there's more than just the Saskatoon Western Development Museum, Josh. Tell us a little bit about what else is out there.
Well, we do have the 4 museums in the province. In addition to the Saskatoon WDM, we have museums in Moose Jaw, North Battleford, and Yorkton. They are all different. They all have a different theme. Moose Jaw being the history of transportation, North Battleford being the heritage farm and village, and Yorkton with the story of people.
Do they all have the Prairie Gamble exhibit type thing?
Yes, they do have a component of the winning the Prairie Gamble. That's something Joan might be able to speak to.
Yeah, if you could, tell us a little bit about each, like they have the 3
yes,
different ones.
Each of the other branches at Nelson, at Yorkton, North Battleford, and Moose Jaw have a smaller than the Saskatoon exhibit, but there's certainly lots to see. Each of them has a 200-foot timeline of the history of Saskatchewan from 1905 to 2005, and it's absolutely rich with content as well. Each of the branches has different stories to tell. In North Battleford, there's a story of natural resources where you can actually go inside a mine and learn about mining in Saskatchewan. And in Yorkton, there's a settler's homestead shack where you can go inside and see what a Ukrainian family's life would have been like at the time of settlement. And in Moose Jaw, we have an exhibit called Beyond the Grid, where we talk about travel in Saskatchewan beyond the grid road system, where you're traveling by boat or plane, or in winter traveling by snowmobile. So there's lots to see.
There is, and there's so much. Just looking around us, behind us at the Boomtown here too, and you could spend so much time in each exhibit. For you personally, Tom, how is it to work here? You know, it's like this is.
Well, I think actually working here, we take it for granted. We don't realize what jewel we have sitting here.
Yeah.
And it's actually the visitors' comments and the reactions that make us really feel positive for what we've done here.
And yourself?
Yes, it's a rich experience. I think visitors find that there's so much to take in here that they need to come back again and again to, especially with the Winning the Prairie Gamble exhibit, because it's such a big story that we tell there about agriculture over the years, and it's a lot to take in one visit. So we hope that visitors will come back and see us more than once.
And Josh, what kind of reaction do you hear from people who visit these exhibits?
Oh, it's always a little bit of awe, I think, when they walk through the doors, especially here in Boomtown. I mean, it is like stepping back in time, and people, I don't think, expect that, and it definitely is a bit of a shock when they finally walk through the doors. So.
Well, it's great. It's great to have you all on the show today, and thank you so much for allowing us to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To learn. Indigenous Circle will return right after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back. We take you now from the Western Development Museum in Saskatoon to Yorkton, where hundreds turned out for what was called the Yorkton Tribal Council's Transactions Conference. Zach Belgard was there and has this story.
Ava Lazat owns Kiwi Crafts and Fashion, a successful First Nations business.
When I first started, I wanted to do something that showed who we were.
Lazat's dream is not unique, but dreams don't just happen. That's why these people are here at the Transactions Business Conference in Yorkton. The event's goal? To promote business relations between First Nation and non-First Nations entrepreneurs.
We brought together today the benefits of partnership and showcase some successes of working together with different municipalities, different industry, political, business people bringing together people that are diverse and have some strengths to bring to the table, build a partnership and grow successfully together.
Over 2 days, several speakers discussed the state of First Nations business. Former AFN Chief Ovid Mercredi feels First Nations business owners must be open to improved communication.
This is about communications. It's about people getting to know each other, and part of it is appreciating the human condition that First Nations are experiencing in this country, but also the opportunities that are available if people begin to create partnerships within the non-Aboriginal community.
While the conference addressed several issues, everyone agreed success in business means working together.
Creating employment opportunities for our people. And in the case of, say, the potash industry, joint ventures with companies like construction companies, and through your joint ventures creating jobs and business wealth for Aboriginal people.
As Saskatchewan's First Nations expand business opportunities, joint ventures, economic partnerships, are the foundation for everyone involved. For Indigenous Circle, I'm Zach Belgard, Yorkton.
The Western Development Museum is proof that it's taken many people to build this province. One group that played a huge role was finally recognized. The Métis Nation will now be represented in the Saskatchewan legislature. Wayne Mantika explains.
Today's opening ceremony at the Saskatchewan legislature took on a different flavor. The ceremonial event marked the unveiling of a Métis symbol, which will be permanently displayed in a place of honor. The Premier and Opposition Leader laid a traditional Métis sash on the table in the center of the Assembly chamber.
Nowhere in the legislative building were there any affectations or symbols of the Métis Nation of our province, or the Métis people, who didn't just help define the development of Saskatchewan, but it really helped define the development of Western Canada and the continent. The Métis resistance was historically the reason for, and the reaction to the resistance were the reason for a lot of things happening that eventually led to the fact that we have one nation.
The Métis sash goes on display alongside a First Nations beaded runner and beaver pelt cushion.
By having that sash in there and showing that respect and recognition to Métis people, it's been a great day.
The sash was created by Métis artisan Pat Adams. who incorporated the colors of the Saskatchewan and Métis Nation flags into the weaving.
It's kind of an abstract reference, but it's there if somebody wants to look for it. I thought that was appropriate to do.
It was a symbolic occasion for Saskatchewan's Métis. From now on, when they come to the building and see their sash, they say they'll feel like they belong here.
For Indigenous Circle, I'm Wayne Mantika in Regina.
Well, we're nearing the end of our show, and this is the part where I remind you how to contact us. You can write to Indigenous Circle, 216 First Avenue North, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Our postal code is S7K3W3. You can also call us at either 665-9290 in Saskatoon, or my number in Regina is 569-6451. You can also email us at indigenouscircle@ctv.ca, or if you're on Facebook, you can check us out on Indigenous Circle on CTV, and we're also on the web, so check that out too. I'd like to now extend a huge thank you to the staff at Saskatoon's Western Development Museum. We close tonight's show with a song from one of Saskatchewan's best young fiddlers. Here now is Dallas Boyer and his dad Phil. Have a great week, everyone.